Good afternoon, everybody. Milford TV Executive Director Tim Coet here with you. We are back once again in our election night studio here in our Milford TV studios for a little bit of an unprecedented update to our election coverage for Milford's town election 2024. For those of you who joined us on election night to reveal the unofficial results to the contested races on this year's ballot, you were able to see all of those races unfold in real time. And one of the things that we stress during our election night coverage is all of the results that are reported on election night are unofficial results. We typically don't see a lot of fluctuation in the results from election night to the official results that are released from the town clerk's office within the few days after the election night, but we do stress on election night that those results are unofficial. And as we saw, as the last couple of days have unfolded, there was a little bit of a bigger margin for error in those unofficial election results. So let's take you through everything. We're going to put graphics on the screen for you right now to start to walk you through now the official results that we have now received from the town clerk's office. And there is obviously a major difference here as it pertains to the race for Milford School Committee. So again, let's walk you through all of the final totals now as it relates to the school committee race. The top vote getter in the race continues to be Matthew Zakili with a final official vote total of 1,878 votes. Coming in second place position in that race for 3 seats on the school committee is Megan Hornberger, who finishes with an official vote count of 1,615. And here is where the major change comes, and it is in the third place position for the school committee race. And a reminder, 3 seats were up for grabs, 4 candidates involved in this race. On election night, we had projected that Gregory Allegrezza would take that third school committee seat. However, now with all of the official vote totals in, there has been a change in that third position, and it will be incumbent Christopher Wilson who officially retains the third seat on the school committee with a final official vote total of 1,490. That bests Gregory Allegrezza's official final vote total of 1,478. So you can see there a final margin of 12 votes separated those final 2 contenders for that third school committee seat. So again, with now all of the results in, all of the official results now released from the town clerk's office, we can now tell you definitively that the 3 winners in the race for school committee are Matthew Zakili, Megan Hornberger, and Christopher Wilson. One of the incumbents in the race will in fact retain the third seat on the school committee, with Gregory Allegrezza falling just 12 votes shy of taking on a seat on Milford School Committee. We'll take you through the numbers for the other 2 races as well. You can see them on your screen right now. The numbers adjusted slightly for the final vote count, but those results did not change from what we reported with the unofficial numbers on election night. Lorianne Braza continuing to take the seat on the Board of Health, and the results for the trustees of Vernon Grove Cemetery remaining the same as well. So just to bring a little additional information here to the table, we're so happy to be joined now via the phone by one of the winners now from this year's school committee race, Chris Wilson, chair of the school committee. Chris, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I have a feeling this has been a little bit of an interesting 48 hours for you.
Certainly has been one roller coaster of a ride for the last 48 hours.
Chris, I'll just kind of lead off with a simple question of just, what has been communicated to you in the last day or so since the official results have now been released?
Yeah, certainly, saw the results, watched your show on Tuesday night following the, closing of the elections, and just kind of watched the numbers come through, and obviously, disappointed with the overall results. I fell, 14 votes short. But, I had done 2 terms. I knew it was going to be an uphill kind of campaign battle with the 2 other incumbents and Greg Allegrezza having a just strong family ties within the community. So, I was okay with the results in a sense, disappointed. The following day on Wednesday, just kind of had come to terms with the emotions of the loss. But then on Wednesday night, my phone started buzzing, and people were like, "Hey, I think you're in." And so it was kind of didn't really quite know how the dynamics had changed. So I basically said to everybody, like, "Listen, I'm heading to town hall first thing." This morning, Thursday morning. So I was there at 8:10 and, kind of knocked on the door and said, can you explain to me what's going on?
And can you share any of the explanation that you received at town hall, Chris?
Yeah, of course. So, it's basically they explained to me that I was in that of the three candidates, of the four candidates, and I was the third from the top vote getting side, and I basically said, well, can you explain to me how things had changed in regards from when the polls closed on Tuesday night and the numbers were reported to basically this morning, Thursday morning, and the way that it was explained to me was it was when the numbers first came out on Tuesday night, they were unofficial. And ballots that could not be properly scanned. So say someone, instead of filling in the full bubble, put an X through the bubble. So the machine doesn't scan it. And after 3 tries, and it doesn't scan, they take that ballot and they put it in a box. And that box has to go to central processing. From there, that ballot then has to be looked at by hand and examined, and whether they can, then tallied by hand. So there was a few ballots that didn't quite meet the criteria to be scanned. Therefore, they had to be evaluated by hand and by eye and tallied by hand. Also, centrally at the central processing were all the mail-in votes. Traditionally, from what I understand, mail-in votes were opened and processed at the polling locations throughout the day, or at some point within the day. For whatever reason, the change, those mail-in votes were processed at the central location after the polls had closed. So again, that's why the results were deemed unofficial until the unscannable ballots and all the mail-in ballots could be properly processed. Therefore, it took that extra amount of time, and it kind of swung my overall vote amounts from basically being 14 votes shy to being 12 votes into the positive.
Just an astounding outcome. And I guess maybe one of the big takeaways here, Chris, and you've just been so closely involved in the local politics here in Milford on the school committee, on the planning board. And we've seen the lower vote turnout the last few years. And we stress on our results show all the time just the incredible importance of just getting out and voting on these local election days, because truly every vote matters. And I guess the ultimate takeaway of this election year is that's never been more true, that quite literally every vote matters. And once it came down to it, a 12-vote swing allows you to continue on for a third term on the school committee.
Exactly. And, 100% every vote matters. And it was kind of the irony of that is, both of my children, first-time voters, got them registered a couple months ago, said, hey, Dad's running for re-election. Your vote's going to be important to me. So having them part of the process, obviously it was a little, in a sense, it was disappointing on Wednesday morning. Like, hey, I really appreciate your votes. Obviously, things didn't quite work out for the overall scheme of it, but I'm proud that you took the time, you voted, you understand how it's an important aspect, because we were 14 votes short at that point, to now being on the positive side and being able to explain to them that very statement of every vote matters and every vote counts. So especially in a local election. So kind of a nice little civics lesson for them, and hopefully they will let their friends know too of how the importance of every vote does matter in these local elections.
So, Chris, as you kind of allow the dust to settle here and are able to start to look ahead, what are maybe some of your major goals here moving forward now, knowing that you'll be part of the school committee now for the next 3 years?
I think my first major goal is letting someone else be chairperson. I've done it for 2 years. I've had a ton of support from the other 6 committee members. I think right now it's time to let somebody else take the reins. Certainly, it's a lot of additional work to be chairperson, but I'm happy. I was very happy to have done it for 2 years. I'm going to be happy to pass it off and let someone else learn those aspects of the chairperson aspects of the role. From there, I think the biggest the biggest points of interest on the committee are going to be, one, the budget. We're hearing more and more about state revenue being down. We know that our Chapter 70 money was impacted this year. It's going to create a more local impact, or a difference in local impact. So more of our own tax dollars are going to be needed to help fund the schools. And I think that's going to continue on over these next couple of years. I think that we're going to see increased and tighter budgets, reduced budgets and tighter budgets overall. And then, of course, as our friend Al Correa always says, there's a school on the horizon, and we know that we are, in the feasibility process, that first phase for what we'll look at as a renovation or a new high school, and that's going to be, a significant impact on Milford. It's our flagship school, so we want to make sure that we step through the process appropriately. We don't overburden the taxpayers, but we create an up-to-date school for all of our students that are going to be moving up into that school and beyond.
Well, Chris, I know that this has been a very bizarre, a very full week for you. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here to provide a little bit of extra insight on the inner workings that have been going on for the last couple of days as we've gotten all of these final election results in. So again, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck to you as you move forward in your next term on the school committee.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all that Milford TV does and what you do for Milford TV. So again, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks, Chris. As of the taping of this update, we have not received a response from the town clerk's office, but we're hopeful to hear from the town clerk's office in the days ahead. And so continue to stand by on all of our platforms as we hope to bring you a little bit more detail related to this change. You can find all of the details on the official final totals for all of the races on this year's 2024 ballot over on the Milford Town website. So you can head over to milfordma.gov to take in all of the results related to all of the uncontested races for select board, for planning board, for town meeting members, and all of the other various information that was included on this year's ballot. But one final time, let's bring those official results up for you one more time, as we can now confirm with all of the official results released from Town Hall that your three official winners for the school committee race are Matthew Zakili, Megan Hornberger, and Christopher Wilson. They will serve for the next 3 years on Milford School Committee. Again, any continuing updates to this story, we will make sure to bring to you on the Milford Informer or on some additional web updates here for you. But that is going to wrap things up here once again from our election headquarters. We'll continue to share all of this information out for you on social media as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this update. So long, everybody.